Hello world, this is live from QNAP headquarters in Taipei, Taiwan. I'm Michael, and today we are going to talk about RAID 50 and 60. So we have our product manager, Repo, with me. Hi, Repo.
Hello, everyone.
I know you are in charge of many of our storage products, right?
Yes.
So today we are going to talk about RAID 50 and 60, but in more detail, right?
Yes.
In the previous program, we talk about the RAID 50 and 60 in general. We said it provides better protection to your data, and it can improve the performance of your SSD array. But today we are going to talk about more detail about how it works and how to expand the capacity and how the performance it really is compared to HDD and the SSD, right?
Yes, because in previous live streaming, we are majorly discussing the benefit of RAID 15 and 16. And right now we are going to dive into the design concept as well as the really performance in both HDD array and SSD array. As some beta user already feedback to it that the performance in RAID 15 and 16 with HDD array, they didn't see performance increase. And we must say that is correct because in the design concept, they have some limitation in RAID 15 and 16. So we will go through it today.
All right, very good. Let's go to our slides.
So today we will discuss the design concept of QNAP RAID 15 and 16. And so first of all, still more importantly is why we have this RAID 15 and 16 is now because NAS capacity become higher and higher, and we have a feeling that traditional RAID 5 or RAID 6 may not be able to provide enough protection for users. And also today we will discuss about the performance in RAID 15 and 16. As I did mention that in general HDD array, the performance of RAID 15 and 16 compared to single RAID 5 or 6 may have no difference or even a little bit slower compared to the RAID 5 or RAID 6. We will discuss all those issues today.
All right, cool.
Okay, so still first of important today is that we introduce RAID 15 and 16 because we want to provide a higher protection level for our NAS users. As you can see that from the server home RAID calculator, in this new table, we also add the RAID 6 into the calculation, and we see that when this number increase, the RAID 5 or RAID 6 5-year fairing rate is all increasing as you have more disks. For example, as we already know that with RAID 5 and 8 disks, the RAID fairing array, right now we use the best practice or optimized estimation method. Still, we have the result of the RAID fairing rate to more than 0.1%, and that number is not accessible for business users as we believe. And when we go down to the table, see the 24 disks with RAID 6, we also see the RAID fairing rate within 5 years can increase beyond 0.1%. So we believe that it's very important to introduce with 15 and 16 because right now our NAS may have 24 bays or even 30 bays. All those NAS require advanced RAID protection method.
So what surprised me is about this chart. If you see the bottom two line, there's a 12 disk and 24 disk, right? You double the disk, but the risk is 60 times more.
Yes.
It's not just double the risk, it's 60 times more.
Yes.
That's very amazing.
Okay. So let's go to next slide. In this slide, I'll also have an update. Is that right now you can see I use the RAID 6 and QNAP RAID 16 as comparison. You can see that the best benefit of RAID 16 and 15 and 16 is that you can use less disk space to increase your protection level. So in this table, we see that compared to RAID 10, you can have almost double the raw capacity with a RAID fairing rate and as same as RAID 10. So we have seen that using not only RAID 15, also RAID 16 also can provide a higher protection level for the enterprise user.
So by using RAID 50 and 60, you can significantly decrease the loss risk of data loss, but at a very high fractional cost of the storage space, right?
Yes. And in this slide, I want to mention again that with the introduction of RAID 15 and 16, we now not recommend general user to use RAID 5 anymore unless you use the NAS only for backup, because we have seen from the previous table that RAID 5's failing rate is much higher than RAID 6.
All right, very good.
Okay, so here is the design concept of our QNAP RAID 15 and 16. Because RAID 15 and 16 is architecture that is not supported in general Linux system, so we have doing this by providing a striping pool solution. As you can see that in the RAID 15 storage pool, we divide each data block into two different two different groups, and we striping so that it can be right into the different subarray that is consists of the for example, the chart have two RAID 5 to consist the RAID 15. So with this solution, we allow all the NAS, whether ARM model or Intel or AMD model, can all use RAID 15 and 16 with 6 or more base. And our RAID 15 and 16 is supporting on storage pool, static volume, and Qtier pool, which we all mentioned in the previous live streaming.
Yes, of course.
So here is the first limitation of we implement this RAID 15 and 16 striping pool. The limitation is that when you already have user feedback to us that compared to the other method of implement this RAID 15 16, our limitation is that when you have, for example, RAID 6, you cannot migrate to RAID 16 directly. You need to create a new RAID group, and also the subarray count is defined when you create a pool, and it cannot be changed later. So this means that you cannot, if you have a RAID 16, you cannot expand it by simply adding another RAID 6. You need to add it by using creating another RAID 15 or 16 and expanding the original RAID 15 and 16 with a linear JBOD approach. So from the chart, you can see that when I have two RAID 5, I need to create another RAID 15 with two subgroups and using JBOD method to expand the existing storage pool.
All right, but so there is always some limitation, no matter what kind of implementation you are doing, right?
Yes.
So this is our limitation. You cannot just add another subgroup into the array.
Yes.
You need to create another 5060 and use a JBOD to combine it together.
Yes. And of course, there has another limitation because the subarray count is predefined. So as you can see from the RAID 15 storage pool, each data block, the subarray, the spin part is already been defined. So you cannot add, for example, if I just add a disk to the second subarray group in the RAID 5, the total capacity will not increase. All the subarray must have the same capacity, so the storage pool can be expanded.
Yeah, that makes sense because it has to be symmetric, right?
Yes.
So you have add disk here, you have to add this on the other side.
Yes. And secondly, let's looking at how this RAID 5 or RAID 15 operates. As you can see from the chart, because each data block is being striping into, for example, the A data block is being striped into A1 and A2, and all those data block, this operation is still similar to RAID 5. Is that in each subarray, it will go through the RAID 5 read-modify write method. That is, when you write new data, you need to read the old data from the subarray first and read a parity and calculate the parity and write back the parity, new parity and new data. So this is why we, as IT user may understand, is that when we use RAID 5 or RAID 6, there has a write penalty and the write performance will be decreased. Is because that when we use RAID 5 or RAID 6, compared to only single write operation, you need to read the parity and write the parity and read the data. So that's why RAID 5 or RAID 6 performance will be slower. Write performance will be slower compared to RAID 0.
Yeah, but later we are going to compare those performance difference between the traditional hard drive and the SSD drives. Right?
Yes. After we understand this operation method, let's go see the table that we have tested in our QNAP lab regarding the other beta user feedback to us that when he or she using HDD RAID 15 and 16, like imagine that the performance will be increased right away because, for example, you have two sub-array. Normal people will thinking that it's just like RAID 0, I have more disk. But honestly, that's not a fact because when you have more, even you have more sub-array, because we see the traditional RAID 0 performance can be MP number of disks and this performance in combined. But with RAID 5, we all those write penalty and more sub-array. Actually, the performance of in screenshot access, the RAID 15 and 16 performance will not increase because the total disk number is still the same. So here we can see the table in the left. We use HDD. As you can see, the RAID 5 and if we have the same disk number, we RAID 5 and RAID 15, the performance we test, the screenshot performance is generally the same. But if you have favorite disk, for example, you only have 6 disks, the performance of RAID 15 and 16 will actually be lower compared to the RAID, single RAID 5. So like, first of all, we recommend user if you only have maybe 6 to maybe 10 disks and you have a general usage, we recommend you to use RAID 6 or RAID 10 instead of RAID 15. Yes. And secondly, when we go to the right and we see the number of disks, this is SSD. We see that we SSDs and more disks. The screenshot read and screenshot write no longer have the penalty, but the performance is generally the same. So we have seen from this chart the performance in screenshot read and write, RAID 15 between RAID 5 and RAID 15 or RAID 16 and RAID 6 is actually the same.
All right, very good. So there's always some penalty because of those extra read and write operations. Right?
Yes.
So, but it generally it's a penalty. But think about how more extra protection it can provide, right?
Yes, and still we see that when you have a 24-base NAS with all SSD, even RAID 6 or RAID 16 can all fully loaded the 40 gig network we use. So the screenshot read and write may not be a major concern for RAID 15 and 16. Next, let's go to the random performance. And you can see that this is the random performance comparison between 12 HDD for RAID 15. You see that in the left, the screenshot read and write is generally the same. Or this is screenshot read and write 2 MB actually. And actually, in the right, we see the random read and random write. The random read and random write, the RAID 15 with 2 sub-array is actually lower for 10%. It's because we have so many disk head read and write for the additional parity configuration that the performance might decrease for random read and write for about 10%. But if you see the table here, is the major benefit is still increase the protection level. Yeah. Okay. So when you use HDD, actually we will recommend user that is not right now in our test result is that when you use HDD, the performance of screenshot access will not increase and random may decrease for 10%. So maybe users should consider use SSD cache to pair with RAID 15 and 16 when you use as HDD.
All right.
And next, when we see about SSD is another matter because in the previous live streaming we have saying that with random performance and actually because the SSD does not have the read penalty and delay, and we all those sub-array can calculate parity at the same time. Actually, same as we shared before is that when you use SSD RAID 15 and 16. The performance can increase even in random access. For example, this is a random RAID 15 access, the performance has increased for 3 times.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have believed that when you are considering you have an all-flash storage, the RAID 15 and 16, you don't need to worry about the performance penalty because you have a much higher speed for each parity to be calculated.
So all in all, it's all about how our users are going to use the storage, right? Yeah, what's the application, what's the purpose of this storage? So based on different purpose, we can choose a different combination of technologies.
Yes, and here we show the number of random access for RAID 15 with 12 disks. Actually, we also have a test with 24 disks for RAID 16. We see the random write performance can also increase for 2 times. So this random read and write performance is present both in RAID 15 and 16. But as Michael mentions, the major thing is still how we use RAID 15 and 16. So finally, here is some suggestion for users who consider to use RAID 15 and 16. First of all, we no longer recommend the general usage to use RAID 5 because if you have, as I mentioned, in the general usage and with HDD, the RAID 15 and 16 may also have a random access penalty. So when you have maybe 6 or 14 base, you should consider RAID 6 or RAID 10. And if you have a backup storage, you require more. You think that more capacity is more important, you can consider RAID 15. And for NAS beyond 16 base, we will recommend user to think about using RAID 10 or RAID 16. If it is HDD RAID, we also recommend to pair it with SSD cache. But if it is all cache storage, the performance should be okay.
So with all these combinations, and we still also need to think about usage, so we can choose whether we want to use a traditional hard drive or SSD, right? But from the previous test figures, I see that the traditional hard drive will suffer more penalties than SSDs.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So after all those application has been reviewed, let's go to how, if you have decided to use RAID 15 and 16, how we can expand those storage space. So here, how to expand QNAP RAID 15 and 16. First of all, in our official 4.3.4, which is going to release today.
Right, very exciting, right?
Yes, we have a dedicated new UI. So as I mentioned, because the discount in each subarray must be the same. So we have a new dedicated UI allow user to add in new disk into all subarray for RAID 15 and 16 at once, which should be more easier than previous. User need to add a disk to each subarray separately. So we will also have a demo to show how this new UI work. And secondly, if you want to expand the RAID 15 and 16 with a whole expansion unit, and as I mentioned, as a new RAID 15 or 16 subarray, you can consider to have an expansion unit and using that expansion unit to create a new RAID 15 or 16. For example, as you can see that here, we have the total the NAS host compared with the expansion unit, so that you can create another RAID 15 and 16, so the capacity can be further increased.
Very good.
So here we will show how to expand RAID 15 and 16 by editing new disk.
All right, let's go to our demo.
Okay, so here you can see this is our 4.3.4 UI. And here I have 3085, which is 30 bay NAS. And for example, if I am IT users, I might not have so many SSD currently, but still, because I believe that in the future I will add more disks into this NAS, and I have decided to use RAID 16. Still, I can create a RAID 16 first and add a new disk to the 2 subarray later. So here I already prepared 2 new disks, and I am going to add them into the existing storage pool. So let's open this management part. And you can see that here the total capacity is about 1.34 terabyte. And we will just using this expansion port to edit new disk into 2 subarray at the same time. So here I select this edit new disk and select this RAID group 1, RAID group 2. And next I select both the 2 free disks from UI and click next. So you can see the new capacity here, the summarize, it can be increased. So right now I press this expand. All the data on the new disk will be erased. Okay. Okay, so here you can see that you have a successful message and the storage pool will starting to migrate the subarray shortly. Okay. As you can see that the status of those subarray is already changing to migrating currently. And this disk 11 and disk 12 has been updated to the subarray in the same time. Okay, so this is our demo of how IT user, if we don't have he or she don't have so many disks in the beginning, it can still they can still use RAID 15 and 16 and add new disks later.
So that's how you expand the capacity when there's more base on the NAS, right?
Yes.
There's more empty base. But if you don't have more empty base to use, you may consider another NAS or another expansion enclosure, right?
Yes.
All right, very good. Let's go back to our slides.
Okay, so finally, when we go to conclusion, is that RAID protection is very important. And if you have considered to use RAID 15 and 16, you should pair it with hardware. It's actually recommend that all enterprise models should have hardware, even you just use the RAID 6 or RAID 5. Because hardware is very important, it will automatically replace the damaged disk when required. So we raise 15 and 16, we will recommend user to always left some free drive, so hardware can be global hardware can be configured. You can simply go to storage and snapshot this VJBOD and select a free disk. As you can see from UI, with select action, and you can set up free purple disk into global hardware. So it will automatically replace the disk that have a small warning or the other, for example, bad session. And this is good for protection and is generally recommended for enterprise model. And finally, let's see some cases of using our because some user because they see the previous slide may see, oh, then what is the point of have a local hardware for RAID 15 and 16? The reason is that we can all use Qtier or SSD cache with RAID 15 and 16. Here is some example. So for example, here we can see that for general usage, we can have SSD cache with HDD RAID 16, as I mentioned, to have a higher capacity and performance without the random read and write penalty on the HDD RAID. And if you want to use Qtier, as I mentioned, that we have in our Qtier iOS 2.0, it might be even more flexible compared to SSD cache. And in this case, this is where local hardware can be used, because you can combine Qtier SSD RAID 15 and HDD RAID 16 to have the high capacity and performance VDI service. At this time, you can consider to have a local hardware so that you can assign set the SSD hardware and HDD hardware separately. And finally, if you want to have a really high performance, for example, database service, you can still consider to use Qtier SSD with RAID 10 and HDD RAID 16 to achieve this goal to have the capacity, performance, and more importantly, protection for all your storage usage.
So even though the RAID 50 and 60 have their performance penalty, but combined with other QNAP technologies, we can still make us some lost performance, right?
Yes, and finally, some user when they see this slide may wonder why I choose to Qtier SSD RAID 15 instead of Qtier SSD RAID 16. The reason, as I mentioned, is that we RAID 5 you have a write penalty, and we have observed that we RAID 16 the penalty will increase further. This is also present with RAID 6. So we believe that if we really want to achieve higher performance, RAID 15 can still be an option compared to RAID 16.
So with all these technologies combined together, it comes to how you decide the usage of the storage. What's the use case? So be based on your decisions. Say this is going to be a database storage or a video editing server. So you can choose what kind of arrays you want to use and combine with Qtier. And you can achieve better performance and to make up those performance lost due to RAID 50 and 60.
Yes. So this is our today's presentation, and thanks for your listening.
All right. Thank you, Ripple, for giving us such an informative presentation about the details of RAID 50 and 60. Thank you. And let's start our program today. But before our program ends, we know that it's Christmas, it's coming, and we here at QNAP, we would like to wish you a Merry Christmas. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.